Welcome to the WhatisELTIS video. Let me get the short version of the answer off right away. ELTIS stands for the English Language Test for International Students. It evaluates exchange students' ability to understand instruction in secondary school classes where English is the language of instruction. My name is Sari Luoma. I'm a researcher and developer of language tests and one of the authors of the ELTIS test. I'm very happy to be introducing the ELTIS to you. So what is the ELTIS like? ELTIS consists of two test sections, listening and reading. The listening section has 4 parts, each covering a different language use situation in school. The reading section has 3 parts. Each of them covers a different type of school-based reading. The questions in both parts of the tests require students to understand main ideas and details and interpret the information that they hear or read. The questions are all multiple choice. The whole test is about language use at school, instructional language, school management language, and social language because, of course, the school is also a social environment. How is the ELTIS administered? ELTIS is administered to groups of students by organizations that coordinate student exchanges in the different countries that exchange students come from. The examiners go through an online training. They follow standardized test administration procedures and use test administration scripts and recorded instructions. The test administrators report the scores to their parent organizations, which report them to schools. Now let's take a closer look at each part of the test. The first part of the listening test has to do with classroom directions. Students look at a picture that shows one or more students doing something. They hear 3 directions. One of those directions is what the teacher said to get the students to do what the picture shows. The students need to choose the directions the teacher gave. In other words, they need to get the main idea. For example, in relation to this picture, the students hear these 3 directions.
A. Write the answers on your papers. B. Discuss the questions with your partner. C. Take everything off your desks.
The correct answer is B, because the picture shows students speaking in pairs. Listening part 2 evaluates math language. Students listen to an easy math word problem and an explanation of the solution. So the students don't have to do the math, the solution is provided, but they have to identify the math expression that matches the solution they heard. In other words, they need to connect the numerical math expression with the way it is said in English. For example, the students can be looking at these 3 math expressions. They hear the following explanation.
Tickets to the school play cost $15 for adults and $6 for students. The school sold 300 adult tickets and 220 student tickets. To figure out the total amount of money earned, you need to multiply 300 adults by $15 and multiply 220 students by $6. Then you need to add the 2 quantities together. Which expression should you use?
The students hear this prompt twice because they have to listen to the detail and match the language they hear to the math expression they see. Listening part 3 involves classroom dialogue. Students listen to a classroom dialogue between a teacher and a student or between 2 students. They answer questions about the main ideas and details of the conversation. There are 3 questions for each dialogue, and it is not broken up. So the students listen to the dialogue running, they look at the questions, and then they answer them. Listening part 4 is about teacher lectures. It is a lot like part 3, except that the students are not listening to a dialogue, but a lecture-type presentation, similar to what a teacher might give when teaching a topic in class. Again, students answer questions about main ideas, details, and their interpretations of what was said. There are 4 questions for each lecture. The reading section has 3 parts. Part 1 is academic vocabulary. Students see a number of gapped sentences. They choose the word that completes the sentence meaningfully from 4 options. Part 2 is reading a graph and answering questions about it. Part 3 has academic texts and questions related to them. The questions about graphs and texts require students to understand main ideas, details, implied meanings, and vocabulary in context. In summary, the WhatisELTIS has a rigorous focus on school-based communication. All the tasks are set in the school context. The questions on the WhatisELTIS focus on meaning, main ideas, details, and implied meanings. This means that the WhatisELTIS scores speak directly to how well exchange students can deal with the requirements of understanding high school level instruction in English.